At this point, I'm going to put on my MC hat, diddly, 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 and hard fork myself and become MC guy instead of presenter guy. However, we're going to stick with our topic of interoperability and introduce a panel. This panel is really going to be excellent. I've been looking forward to it. We have Ryan with Messari moderating it, and they're going to be delving into a lot of explorations of this multi-chain space. Ryan, I want to say, I give a quick shout out. This is not a paid show, but guys, if you subscribe to Messari, you're going to get some great insights from Ryan every morning. I sit there and drink my coffee, and I appreciate the thoughts you have. It invariably leaves me feeling more positive and bullish on the overall ecosystem every morning. So it's always a good read.
Well, I try to be Mr. Brightside, as everybody in the industry knows.
Yeah, that's right. The optimism pervades. And on that note, I'll throw it over to Ryan and the rest of the panel.
Excellent. Billy, Peter.
How's it going, Ryan?
Alex, good to see you.
Hello.
I believe we have one more. Waiting on Matt. Two more. And we will get going. While we wait for the last two to join, we have a very, very short amount of time for this panel. There are 5 panelists, 1 moderator. I am going to get out of the way. And I want you guys in 30 seconds, if you can, introduce yourselves and maybe go round robin with your hottest take in terms of a trend to look out for when it comes to interoperability in this multi-chain future that we're going into. Let's hit the ground running. Full speed ahead. We've got 25 minutes. Check that, 23 minutes. So let's go. Billy, you're up first. Who are you? Where are you from? Hottest take related to interoperability to get us started.
Howdy, I'm Billy from Kentucky, actually, but I'm here in Berlin. I work at the Interchain Foundation. I run the funding program there, and so I have a sort of bird's eye view of the ecosystem, everybody who's sort of working on or towards the Internet of Blockchains, and of course, the trend to look out for is IBC.
Pete.
Hey, all. I'm Peter Mauric, Head of Public Affairs at Parity Technologies. Obviously, working quite a lot on Polkadot these days after working on Ethereum for a few years there. And my hottest take on interoperability is the solution that is most adopted for interoperability in the space is not going to be a pure interoperability play.
We'll have to unpack that in a minute. Alex.
Hi, I'm Alex. I'm one of the co-founders of NEAR, and I think one of the interesting development that's happening in the interoperability is there are bridges that are being built between many protocols. So as they get deployed, the boundaries will disappear, and so assets will not be confined to the protocols on which they are born, and that will uncover many new use cases. So that's pretty exciting.
Matt?
Hey guys, Matt Luongo. I'm the project lead at Keep, where we work on tBTC. I'd say trends that I'm really excited to see play out probably in this panel are permissionless versus permissioned interoperability, and whether or not interop should be pay to play, and whether the general decentralization wins theme we've got so far in cryptocurrency extends to interoperability.
Anatoly, last but not least.
Yeah, hi, I'm Anatoly Ressin. I'm a co-founder and blockchain architect at Parsiq. And it's a pleasure to be here and to represent completely another side of the blockchain interoperability, because now here all is speaking about the interoperability between blockchains, how to deal with non-finality, how to deal with all those complex things, but I'm representing the client-side interoperability, how to deal in real time with all those things that come from blockchains with their problems. So
excellent. Peter, you had the maybe the best tease of a take in that the interoperability solution will not necessarily look like an interoperability solution. Why don't you unpack that and let's talk about what it takes to actually abstract away the fact that you're bridging between protocols and just getting to the essence of what users want, which is something that is fast, cheap, and that ultimately is going to be functioning and secure.
Yeah, at the end user shouldn't even really know what protocols they're running on, right? Obviously, us blockchain nerds in the future will be interested in sort of what's under the hood, but the most seamless user experience is going to be them opening up an app to, deal with whatever application that they have that they want to engage with. And that's why I say the sort of, I guess, if there's going to be a winning interoperability solution or a most adopted interoperability solution, it's going to be a protocol that's doing a lot more than just connecting the blockchains, right? It needs to have a robust infrastructure of applications, sort of at the nexus of these interoperable links in order to fulfill that end user vision that we all have, right? So like if you're looking at a pure, just a simple bridge, or trustlessly swapping tokens between chains, like that's interesting and a good step towards an interoperable future. But what you really are going to want, and what an application developer is really going to want, is the ability to access all of the different technologies in the space from one, I want to say, central protocol that's enabling that trustless transaction across chain, and presenting it in a way to the end user that they don't even necessarily see any of what's happening under the hood.
Billy, Cosmos has been in the market longest after Ethereum, at least when it comes to mainnet implementations. What are some of the key takeaways that you have, seeing not only different spokes in the Cosmos ecosystem and kind of working through this multi-phase rollout of IBC, but what takeaways do you have as other Layer 1 alternatives also come online and start bidding for developer mindshare attention and ultimately looking to run some of these applications that have seen success on Ethereum on their own discrete at this point network?
Well, it's been great to see some of our early sort of proposals be kind of come true as tested in other projects. So stuff like incentivized testnets kind of become a standard for how networks sort of roll things out. We've also seen a couple projects sort of follow this hub and spoke model. They sort of are starting to subscribe to this application-specific model as a way for sovereignty and for scaling, coordination via a hub. You could even say that there's, you could put this in the category of sharding to some degree. And so it's been great to see some of our sort of, oh, we don't like that. It's been great to see some of our early ideas play out across other projects. In some ways this is a competition, and say, they're providing similar solutions. What's been sort of great from our perspective is that at the top of our priority list is IBC. We think that the Cosmos Hub is a really useful blockchain in the configuration of the Internet of Blockchains as a hub and spoke. We think there's a lot of sort of interesting value propositions there, but there's no like lock-in for that. And so as a priority, IBC is something that we want and have been seeing happen on other networks as they come out. So Polkadot, for example, having IBC inside of Substrate so that you could build a Substrate chain, connect to these Internet of Blockchain. It's really sort of opened up. So we're working with projects like Celo to make sure that this protocol is available inside of their framework. So we want to see all these sort of networks blossom. We just want to make sure that they can all talk to us and to each other via IBC.
Alex, anything to add on that? You're one of the newer mainnets in this conversation. How does that impact your go-to-market and ability to attract new developers when you have folks like Billy that have a minor head start in the grand scheme of things, but multi-year head start when it comes to crypto developer adoption?
Yeah, I think when we were starting, the fact that Cosmos started one year before us, or maybe it was even more, was definitely helpful. Not only from perspective of showing what works, what doesn't, but also I think Cosmos was who built the entire validator community that exists today, right? So many validators that exist across protocols today, they started from Cosmos or Polkadot, I guess. The second thing I think that Cosmos showed to everybody is that once you start building BFT chains, you can build an interoperability between them, right? So IBC, I guess, is entirely around that. And so we're taking something, what we believe is very close to IBC, and I guess IBC will be part of it eventually, or maybe we will see how it unfolds. But once you have a lot of BFT chains coexisting, in BFT chains, the light client has almost the same guarantee and almost the same security model as the full client, and that allows building extremely secure bridges between the chains. So if you want to bridge Cosmos and Near, or if you want to bridge Polkadot and Celo, you can build a bridge which is making almost the same security assumptions as as the union or like intersection, depends on terminology, of the security assumptions of the two underlying protocols, which is, I think, what will enable what I was talking about before, the connection between the protocols in a way that the assets can be born in one place, easily moved to another place, acted upon them, brought back.
Matt, Peter was shaking his head at one point when Billy brought up sharding, and so I want to go back to your initial points on trusted interoperability solutions versus trustless. Does that matter? Because at the end of the day, you're either trusting a fledgling network or a fledgling company. What is the difference in your mind in terms of trustlessness and how teams are optimizing for cross-protocol bridges and being able to least cost route transactions or applications between these different protocols?
Yeah, sure. I mean, sorry, Ryan, I'm going to hear the question I want to hear, which is like, I mean, I think the kind of battle we're going to see right now is whether or not we need to see monoliths that everyone opts into and agrees, like this is how the network or the network of networks should look, or whether we're going to see something that's a little bit more patchwork. Earlier, Peter said, I think it was something like, developers are going to want to have a unified experience across these chains. And I don't know if that's true. I mean, as a developer, I don't like to learn new things, but I'm also not seeing people like beat down the door and say, give me the most abstract and fancy library that can do everything, because mostly they're just on Ethereum, and everything else that we're talking about right now is sort of speculative, right? So I hope that our community across all of our networks continues to care about being permissionless and open innovation rather than just sort of like pay to play from the get-go. But a lot of that, I think, is about the ideals of people on this call rather than what the market has said. And we're going to find out over the next few years, the market will weigh it.
Anatoly, anything to add there? You're on mute if you are.
Sorry. So I'm looking at those things from different perspective. Because here, when blockchains are connected, everybody is interested in submitting transactions to other chains, from one chain to other chain. But we are speaking only about finalized transactions, finalized realities from one finalized reality from one blockchain connects to a finalized version of the reality of other blockchains. But what we can do in situations when we really need real-time communication between blockchains? Are there any ability to read from one blockchain a non-final state of other blockchain? Because when you are inside the same blockchain, you are kind of okay. So I'm doing everything. But when we're connecting different blockchains, what to do? And here we're trying to propose a solution, and we will eventually work with all the inter-blockchain communication protocols.
But is it not only relevant for like Ethereum and maybe a couple other chains? Majority of BFT chains, they only have final reality, right? Like if you think of Cosmos or Near, there is no reality which is not final. And
but that's true, though, because if you think of these newer chains, not to cast any aspersions to anyone on this call, as a user, we can say, oh, they have instant finality, but as a new community, they can't fall back on social consensus. So maybe they technically have instant finality and that it's just signature-based, but if there's a community hard fork, which is much more likely with a new chain than it is with, for example, Ethereum or Bitcoin, then all those finality guarantees that sound great to us techies kind of go away to end users.
But in any case, we even for those blockchains that have instant finality, we have a difference between the time when the transaction is submitted to the mempool and when it is delivered and finalized. And if we want to organize calculations on top of what is already submitted and visible, then we can have this substantial gap. For some applications, this gap is not a deal, but for some, like trading, like making fast decisions, it's really crucial.
Yep. I just wanted to touch back on why I was wanted to shake my head to the idea that Cosmos is sharded, and I think maybe it makes sense to step back and sort of define the two main types of multi-chains that we are seeing evolve. So theoretically, right now, Ethereum 1.0 is a multi-chain, right? It is a coordinating base layer with many different implementations of side chains and some bridges to other networks. It's very similar to Cosmos, except the difference being Cosmos is the base layer is Tendermint on the Cosmos hub and the Atom, and I guess IBC is like an additional sort of implementation where the side chains can talk to each other more efficiently. That is in contrast to a sharded multi-chain, which is why I shook my head, where in Cosmos or Ethereum 1.0 side chains, all those side chains are required to provision their own validator set and provision their own security, and their security, as the last speaker actually said towards the end of his presentations, like when every individual chain is required to provision their own security and maintain a token price to maintain economic security, you're going to see some chains that are much more secure and some chains that have no security. The difference with the sharded protocol is that all of those chains that are connected to the coordinating chain share the security of the entire network. So this is like Ethereum 2.0, except in Ethereum 2.0, you can't own your own shard. It's also similar to Near, but within Near, the sharding is sort of abstracted away, and you just sort of have capacity if you need it. So it's less, I guess, customizable the way in Polkadot you can actually own your own shard and not have to worry about, say, keeping your token price up or doing all the work that many in the Cosmos community and Polkadot and Near have done to build strong, economically secure validator sets. You can really share in that security rather than having to go out and lobby the world to secure your chain to the point where it is feasible for a developer to say, this is a secure base layer for me to build my application on.
This, of course, being a design choice on our side, because we believe that the features of a blockchain should be matching the purpose of that blockchain, including security. Security should be designed exactly for its purpose and have its own properties. There's not just one-size-fits-all security on the scale of yes, secure, no secure. We don't want to make that decision for you. We also don't want to create a central point of failure where if our security proposal fails, the entire network cascading fails with it. We have segmented security. We have segmented sovereign chains for that reason exactly.
Right, but you're not saying that that is a fault in Polkadot because it's not.
It's a design choice. I mean, I think that there's we sort of embrace all design choices, right? Polkadot is a choice, and it has features which are great for a huge class of applications.
Right, but even if the security of the relay chain had some catastrophic failure, that doesn't necessarily mean that parachains are immediately insecure. Their validator set can basically disconnect and continue securing the chain as a solo chain pretty rapidly. There's a very simple path for that. So just wanted to add that point.
As I would also like to add that Cosmos was making shared security available through the Atom itself. So we've been working on an IBC update that actually allows the validator set to be transferred over IBC, which means that you can look towards any token that you'd like the Atom as your staking token. So again, I think that we sort of embrace the entire spectrum of designs for security and capabilities, and we're active in trying to push those forward.
Matt, you're one of the few buyers of interoperability, having released tBTC. So actually thinking about which other chains you would want to interoperate with. Aside from security assumptions, as Billy and Peter are going back and forth on, what are some of the other things that help you prioritize updates and support for a new layer 1 chain? Is it all about security? Is it all about users? Do token incentives play a role? There are a number of arrows in the quiver that folks have, but what moves the needle from an application provider standpoint?
Well, what a question. So I think when I look at, I'll start with just Cosmos and Polkadot. You have this trade-off.
Make sure you pick your favorite.
Well, you have this trade-off, and actually, you know what? Let's talk about different people. Let's talk about L2s for a second, because you have a similar thing happening right now with L2s. Look at something like Arbitrum and Optimism. So we have Optimism in the Ethereum community, and they're clearly the DeFi favorites so far. The biggest projects have already said that they're going with Optimism. You have Arbitrum on the other side, and they have very similar tech, very different teams. But as a developer, you have to ask yourself, which of these things am I going to build on? Arbitrum I can build on today. There's an open testnet. I don't need to talk to anyone. I don't need to have a conversation. There's a partnership that needs to happen. I can just do it. And with Optimism, I can read the docs and I can prepare, but unless I'm sort of blessed, I don't get to join that testnet or that mainnet rollout. So I kind of see some similar trade-offs going on right now in the Cosmos and Polkadot opportunity where, you know, it might turn out that this sort of like more centralized tribe of people who use one asset are actually more powerful. But as a developer, it is tougher for me to get involved because I'm going to have to talk to somebody. I'm probably going to want them to give me some money for something. Versus IBC, that's something that I can start working with potentially on Ethereum and then slowly move toward, like, how do I get onto my own BFT chain? So I'd say that's one. But the other one is just the EVM. And I hate this because as a developer, I can't stand the EVM. It's bad tech. It's old. It was great when it, you know, was created, but since then everyone on this call probably has strong opinions on it, and yet all of my tools will work. And I would expect, though I don't know, that it'll be easier to get users faster because I'll be able to ship product faster. I would say the last consideration is users, and the reason that I say the last consideration is none of us have users relative to, you know, Ethereum. So, you know, I think the first chain that does have users, developers will go there. Like, you have to, if you want people to use your stuff, you have to go where there are users. But in lieu of users, ease of experimentation and then ease of just integrating your tech makes it a much easier pill to swallow. And that's where I think actually Near has some serious advantages on the EVM side.
Anatoly, thoughts on users, user acquisition, and is there a way to abstract away the non-EVM tech that you're using and just come up with a solution that is cheaper, that is just as simple for people to use, but ultimately eliminates some of the headaches associated with Ethereum today? Anatoly, we're going to work on your mute button next time.
Okay, sorry. I would say that yes, there are ways how to abstract things for non-EVM technology, but I see from the user's perspective, from programmers, because programmers are our users. From programmers' perspective, I see a huge difference between synchronous blockchains and asynchronous blockchains, because main value proposition of blockchains was connected with simplicity of creating financial services. And if you are trying to create financial services on something that is asynchronous, where it is too easy to make a mistake and mismatch between intention and implementation, and in asynchronous world, it is too easy to make such a problem. Then I see that something like that, something like EVM will still be there. We will live with EVM for a long time because of its synchronity, and we will connect to it from other blockchains where we will create non-smart contract related things like games, like decentralized applications, but not financial things.
Yeah, Matt's point on wanting to see users versus then developers moving. We're actually seeing a little bit of the reverse with a couple of these Polkadot parachains. So Moonbeam is a really good example on the EVM side, where it's going to give developers access to all that tooling that they're used to, right? It's basically you can copy and paste your ETH tooling into Moonbeam. You can copy and paste your Solidity code into Moonbeam. You can run EVM on a more scalable chain that also gives you the opening to, say, explore the functionality in other chains within Polkadot and over bridges in order to integrate. So we're seeing a lot of these DeFi projects starting to move. Obviously, we had the announcement of Ampleforth building on Akala a little while back. About an hour and a half ago, it was announced that Curve is implementing on Equilibrium, another parachain building on Polkadot that's optimized for DeFi. And then obviously Moonbeam has seen quite a lot of take up with some of the DEXs and other Ethereum native DeFi projects that really do want that ease of developer experience, say, copy and paste my code into a development environment that's going to then open up the door to all the other potential optimized DeFi primitives that are going to exist on, say, Akala or Equilibrium, which are more like non-EVM native development environments that are really going to give these applications more oomph while still not losing that baseline of work that you've done implementing in a smart contract environment like on Ethereum.
6 men, 25 minutes. That's a wrap. Alex, I was going to try to get to you for one more speed round, but we're going to have to wait till next time.
Thank you for the insights, gentlemen. I'm a very strong believer that with respect to layer 2s, we're not going to see just 1 or even 2. I think users will self-select for the right type of use case. And I think it's going to be very similar with different layer 1s. Maybe the shared security is preferable for some types of dApps and users. And perhaps
we didn't even get to the layer 2s on Polkadot.
That's where it gets really far out. Parachains on Polkadot. Billy mentioned the fact that Cosmos Hub can actually provide a validation layer for any zone. So I think the key takeaway here is this shit is evolving very quickly, and in just 6 to 12 months, we'll see it'll look vastly different with a lot of benefits accruing to users and dApp developers alike. So thanks again, panelists, and Ryan, appreciate it.
Thanks all.
Thank you.
Thanks, everybody.